the Chaucias people. I'm here at the Rosemount, Dakota County Library, Minnesota. Okay, I'm going to read you just the Villain. A Villain's life was entangled in a web of feudal dues. When he took on a holding, he paid the lord of the manor an entry fee. The holding might be as much as 40 acres, a house and some farm buildings. When the newly entitled Villain had a chance to look around, he found that repairs were needed to his house and the fences round his fields. If he used wood from his lord's woods and there was no practical alternative, he would be liable for houseboat and hayboat. He needed winter fuel. Wood from the lord's woods involved payment of fireboat. The house was unlikely to have an oven to bake bread. The lord charged for the use of the estate oven. When he needed his corn ground into flour, he had to use the lord's mill and pay for the privilege. If the Villain's daughter became pregnant while unmarried, he might have to pay levirate on her behalf. If she did marry, her father had to pay merchet to the lord. If he kept pigs, as most Villains did, he would pay pannage for letting them feed in the lord's woods. If he wanted to sell his livestock, he paid a toll to the lord. When a Villain died, the most valuable thing he had owned, usually a horse or his best ox, went to the lord as heriot. Since his second best chattel went to his parish priest, death was a financial blow, as well as a bereavement. But if the surviving family members could raise the cash, they often bought back the horse or the ox from the lord. Most irksome and most resented of all was boon work. If sowing and especially harvesting were urgent while the weather lasted, the lord's fields took priority, which must have been maddening. All the other dues tended to fade away with time or change into money payments, especially after the pestilence of 1348. But the boon work was the last to be commuted for cash. It was a major grievance and one of the causes of the 1381 revolt. Okay, that's the Chaucias people. Now I'm going to read to you from the Black's Logic Dictionary, 10th Deluxe Edition. Okay. We're going to go over Villain. I'm going to look up Villain for you. Okay. I'm going to post an article on this too. Okay, Villain. Historical, a person entirely subject to a lord or attached to a manor, but free in relation to all others, a serf. At the time of the Domesday Inquest, shortly after the Norman conquests, about 40% of households were marked as belonging to Villains. They were the most numerous element in the English population. See freeman, Villain in gross, a Villain who was annexed to the person of the lord and transferable by deed from one owner to the other. Villain regardant, a Villain annexed to the manor of land. Villeinage or villainage, the holding of property through servitude to a feudal lord, a servile type of tenure in which a tenant was obliged to render base services to a lord. See bondage. A Villain status, condition, or service. Cf. knight service under service, or socage, also spelled villeinage, also termed Villain tenver or Villain tenure. A privileged villainage, villainage, in which the services to be performed were certain, though of a base and servile nature. A pure villainage in which the services were not certain, but the tenant was obliged to do whatever he was commanded whenever the command came. And then it says Villain in gross, see Villain regardant, see Villain, and then Villain service. A base service that a Villain performed, such as working on the lord's land on certain days of the week, usually 2 to 4. These services were not considered suitable to a man of free or an honorable rank, also termed Villain servitum. See week work or work week. And then it says Villain socage. See socage. Villain tenure. Villainish. And then a villainous judgment. Villainous judgment. A judgment that deprived a person of his libera lex, as a result of which he was discredited and disabled as a juror and witness, forfeited his goods and chattels and land, had his houses razed and trees uprooted, and went to prison. Also spelled Villeins judgment. Okay, so now we're going to go to, it said, see Freeman. We're going to go see Freeman. Freeman, someone who enjoys all the civil and political rights belonging to the people under a free government. See free law. Someone who is not a slave. A member of a municipal corporation, a city or borough who possesses full civic rights, especially the right to vote. So we don't have the right. Historically, a freeholder, see Villein, an allodial landowner. Vassal, also written free man. So let's look up free law over here. Free law, the civil rights enjoyed by a free man as opposed to a serf. Free law could be forfeited if the free man was convicted of treason or an infamous crime. So let's look up serf. Serf. Serf, a person in a condition of feudal servitude, bound to labor at the will of a lord, a villein. Serfs differed from slaves in that they were bound to the native soil rather than being the absolute property of a master. As the categories became indistinct, the more abject varieties of slavery disappeared, and in the 12th century, the word villein became the general term for unfree peasants. Serf did not become a legal term of art, and in so far as it remained in use, it did not connote a status lower than that of a villein. The merger was to the detriment of the villeini, but it ensured that full slavery was not received as part of the common law. Wow, that's cute. Okay, let's look up vassal. Vassal, the grantee of a fief, feud, or fee, a feudal tenant. Then it says, see, a free man. Wow, that word keeps coming up. A vassalage, the quality, state, or condition of being a vassal or feudatory, also termed vassillaria. The service required of a vassal, also termed vassicam, or main rent, the territory held by a vassal, a fief or a fee, vassals collectively, the dominion or authority of a feudal superior over vassals, political servility, subjection, and then vassalli, okay, vassals holding immediately of the crown, vassillaria, see vassalage. Okay, let's look up chattel. Chattel property. Chattel, movable or transferable property, personal property, especially a physical object capable of manual delivery, and not the subject matter of real property. See chattel security under security. Chattel personal, a tangible good or intangible right such as a patent, also termed personal chattel. Chattel real, a real property interest that is less than a freehold or a fee, such as a leasehold estate. The most important chattel real is an estate for years in land, which is considered a chattel because it lacks the indefiniteness of time essential to the real property, also termed real chattel. Chattel vegetable, a movable article of a vegetable origin, such as timber, undergrowth, corn, or fruit. Local chattel, 1904, personal property that is affixed to land, fixture. Personal chattel, see chattel personal, real chattel, chattel real, unique chattel, 1886. A chattel that is absolutely irreplaceable because of it is one of a kind. Chattel lien under lien, chattel mortgage under mortgage, chattel mortgage bond, see bond, chattel paper, a writing that shows both a monetary obligation and a security interest in or a lease of specific goods. Universal Commercial Code, Statute 9-102A 11. Chattel paper is generally used in a consumer transaction when the consumer buys goods on credit. The consumer typically promises to pay for the goods by executing a promissory note, and the seller retains a security interest in the goods. See security agreement. And then there's just a ton of more chattels, tangible chattel paper evidenced by a record or records consisting of information inscribed on a tangible medium. The UCC, Universal Commercial Code, Merchants, Statute 9-102A79. Okay, let's go check out security. Because technically we're a security. Your social security number tells you that, because we're a security. Or a share traded on the New York Stock Exchange. If you have a social security number, you're a share. You're a stock. I'll read that next. Share, security. Security, collateral given or pledged to guarantee the fulfillment of an obligation, especially the assurance that a creditor will be repaid, usually with interest, any money or credit extended to a debtor. See, satisfaction, or chattel security, a security consisting of personal property. See chattel, someone who is bound by some type of guarantee, surety, the quality, state, or condition of being secure, especially from danger or attack. Okay. There's just a ton of securities. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of different security definitions. So then let's look at share. An allotted portion owned by, contributed by, or due to someone, a single portion distributed among several. Okay. One of the definite number of equal parts into which the capital stock, U, of a corporation or joint stock company is divided. A share represents an equity or ownership interest in the corporation or joint stock company. Okay, let's look up stock. Stock, the original progenitor of a family, a person from whom a family is descended, branch. A merchant's goods that are kept for sale or trade, that's us. The capital or principal fund raised by a corporation through subscribers' contributions or the sale of shares. A proportional part of a corporation's capital represented by the number of equal units or shares owned, and granting the holder the right to participate in the company's general management and to share in its net profits or earnings. Okay, let's look up branch. And we're going to look up surety. Branch, an offshoot, lateral extension, or division of an institution, a line of familial descent stemming from a common ancestor, also termed stock. Wow, a license held by a ship's pilot. Branch pilot, see pilot. Let's look up pilot and ship. Pilot, a person in control of an airplane. A person in control of a vessel. Let's look up ship. Ship, a type of vessel used or intended to be used in navigation. See vessel. Ship, to send from one place to another by delivery to a carrier for transportation. Chartered ship, a ship specially hired to transport the goods of only one person or company. A ship on which a shipper has chartered space for cargo, for a cargo. Okay, let's see vessel with an E, not an A. United States flag vessel, a government vessel, privately owned U.S. flag commercial vessel, privately owned. Vessel, a ship, brig, sloop, or other craft used or capable of being used to navigate on water. To qualify as a vessel under the Jones Act, the structure's purpose must, to some reasonable degree, be to transport passengers, cargo, or equipment from place to place across navigable waters. How many people carry seamen around with them? Men and women do. The term vessel is defined in A1 USC Statute 3 as follows. The word vessel includes every description of watercraft or other artificial contrivance used or capable of being used as a means of transportation on water. This definition has not been very influential in admiralty and maritime cases. Litigants contending for vessel status often invoke its remarkable breadth. Those opposing vessel status typically respond, but the present context indicates otherwise. When courts mention the definition favorably, it usually seems to be a make-weight argument. David W. Robertson, Stephen F. Friedel, and Michael F. Sturley, Admiralty and Maritime Law in the United States 59, that's the year 2001. Foreign flag vessel, a vessel registered in a nation other than the United States, regardless of the owner's nationality. Jones Act vessel, a vessel whose crew members can qualify as seamen under the Jones Act, especially a craft designed or used for transporting cargo or people. Let's go to surety or soakage. We forgot to look up soakage. Gotta go back to the beginning sometimes. Soakage, a type of lay tenure in which a tenant held lands in exchange for providing the lord husbandry related rather than military service. Soakage, the great residuary tenure, was any free tenure that did not fall within the definition of knight service, a sergeanty, or franc-lemoyne, cf. knight service under service. Villeins, if they, the peasants' duties were fixed, for instance, helping the lord with sowing or reaping at specified times, the tenure was usually called soakage. This was originally the tenure of sockman, but it became a generic term for all free services other than knight service, sergeanty, or spiritual service. That's J.H. Baker, An Introduction to English Legal History, 260, 3rd edition from 1990. Free soakage. Soakage in which the services were both certain and honorable. By the Statute 12, CAR.2, Chapter 24, 1660, all the tenures by knight service were, with minor exceptions, converted into free soakage, also termed free and common soakage, Liberium socagium. Villein soakage, soakage in which the services through certain were of a baser nature than provided under free soakage. Soakager, a tenant by soakage, see soakman. Soakman, someone who holds land by soakage tenure, also spelled soakman, sockman, also termed soakager, gainer, see soakage. Okay. I'm gonna get going, but love you guys, loving you, world, universe. We're all going higher every single day. Just keep bringing a positive charge so we can keep getting smarter together. That's how we lift each other higher with positive reinforcement instead of negative division. It can go a long way. Okay. Love you, America. Miller Madison, Collette Quinn. Thanks for teaching your daddy how to win. I love you. Have a good day.